continue Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 14, modes of nature. Krishna speaking about the modes of nature, the effects of the modes of nature, the destinations that we get, different. And then Arjuna's asked, what is the behavior of the person who's above the modes, transcendent the modes? And it's by devotional service, actually, that we can rise above the modes. So let's read on what Krishna has to say. Text 26.
Okay, I go.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Macha yo व्यभिचारेण भक्ति योगेन सेवत सगुणान मत्तीयेता ब्रह्म युया कल्पसे स गुणाम सम्मितयतिम ब्रह्म भूयायाम kalpate. Yes. Translation. One who engaged in full devotional service and unfailing in all circumstances at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahma. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. This verse is reply to Arjuna's third question. What is the means of attempting to the transcendental position? As explained before, the material world is acting under the spell of mode of material nature. One should not be distracted by the activity of mode of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activity, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activity. Krishna activity are known as Bhakti Yoga, always acting for Krishna. This includes not only Krishna but his different planetary expansion such as Rama and Narayana. He has innumerable expansions. One who is engaged in the service of any of the form of Krishna or of his planetary expansion is considered to be the transcendentally situated. One should also note that all the forms of Krishna are fully transcendental, blissful, full of knowledge and eternal. Such personality of Godhead are omnipotent and omniscient, and they possess all transcendental qualities. So, if one engages himself in the service of Krishna or his planetary expansion with unfailing determination, although these modes of material nature are very difficult to overcome, one can overcome them easily. This is already been explained in 7th chapter. One who surrenders upon Krishna at once surmounts the influence of the mode of material nature. To be in Krishna consciousness or in devotional service means to acquire equality with Krishna. To be in Krishna conscious or in the devotional service means to acquire equality with Krishna. Equality, but we cannot be equal to Krishna, right?
Yeah. So here Prabhupada is explaining. If you continue reading, Prabhupada is explaining what.
Okay. The Lord says that His nature is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge, and the living entities are part and parcels of the Supreme. As gold particles are part of a gold mine, thus the living entity in his spiritual position is as good as gold, as good as Krishna in quality. Okay, okay, got it.
So
The
you
diff
understood what is
Yes, yes, Mataji. Like equal to Krishna, but will not be Krishna, but it's a fraction of Krishna. It's like in the quality, like we cannot be the coal mine, gold mine. Gold mine is Krishna, but we can be as a small fraction, like
yeah,
Paramatma inside us.
that's right. So equal in quality, but completely different in quantity.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
The difference of individuality continues. Otherwise, there would be no question of bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga means that the Lord is there, the devotee is there, and the activity of exchange of love between the Lord and the devotee is there. Therefore, the individuality of two persons is present in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the individuality of two persons is present in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the individual persons. Hmm? Otherwise, there would be no meaning to Bhakti Yoga. This whole sentence, little bit, can you explain the
So,
two person? Yeah.
so the Supreme Lord and the individual person different, because
Mm-hmm.
someone may think that the soul is equal to God, but here we are understanding no, the spirit soul is part and parcel of God. It's different. And so the individual soul is engaging in devotional service to the Supreme Lord.
Oh, okay. 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 If one is not situated in the same transcendental position with the Lord, one cannot serve the Supreme Lord. Okay. To be personal assistant to a king, one must acquire the qualification. Yes. Thus, the qualification is to become Brahma or freed from all material contamination. It is said in the Vedic literature, Brahma San Brahm iti, Brahma San Brahm iti. One can attain the supreme Brahma by becoming Brahma. This means that one must qualitatively become one with Brahma. But attainment of Brahma, one does not lose his eternal Brahma identity as an individual. I think there are many things. If you can elaborately paragraph by paragraph, you can enlighten that. It will be little easier for me. I think it was a little long.
So Lord Krishna is saying, because Arjuna is asking, how can one come to the transcendental platform? How can one get liberated? How
Mm-hmm.
can one understand I'm not the body, I'm spirit, soul? And Krishna is saying it's only by bhakti yoga. Full devotional service means pure devotional service. Unfailing in all circumstances means all the time. He's engaging in devotional service constantly, never ending. So, such a pure devotee is liberated. He is not bound by the modes of nature. He's understood his position as part and parcel of God, as servant of God. So, thus he comes to the level of Brahman. Brahman, understanding I am spirit soul. I am not the body, I'm spirit soul. So, one may say, what does it mean? Becoming Brahman.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we lose our identity, But we understand I am spirit soul.
mm,
Somebody may, because Brahman is the light which is coming from the body of Krishna.
mhm,
So when one says become one with the Brahman or come to the level of Brahman, doesn't mean that one loses the individuality. The soul will still continue to exist. But
mhm.
the soul understands that, okay, I am a soul, and that is coming to the level of Brahman.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Got it, Mataji. Yeah.
okay. Sheena, any question? It's
No.
okay. So devotional service is to Lord Krishna or like to Lord Rama. Ram Navami is coming up on Sunday. So, devotee of Lord Rama or Lord Narayan or Lord Nishingadev, Lord Kurma. So, Krishna or his expansions. And that
Hmm.
is devotional service, worshipping the Supreme Lord. Okay, and let's go on.
Okay. No. ब्रह्मणो हि प्रतिष्ठा अहम् अमृतस्य अव्ययस्य च शाश्वतस्य च धर्मस्य सुखस्य कान्तिकस्य च. Translation. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. The constitution of Brahman is immortality, imperishab- imperishability, eternity, and happiness. Brahman is the beginning of transcendental realization. Paramatma, the supersoul, is the middle, the second stage in transcendental realization. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the Absolute Truth. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. It is explained in the seventh chapter that material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature with fragments of the superior nature, and that is the spiritual touch in the material nature. When a living entity conditioned by this material nature begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, he elevates himself from the position of material existence and gradually rises up to the Brahman conception of the Supreme. This attainment of the Brahman conception of life is the first stage in self realization. At this stage, the Brahman realized person is transcendental to the material position, but he is not actually perfect in Brahman realization. If he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position and then gradually rise up to Paramatma realization and then to the realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of this in Vedic literature. The four Kumaras were situated first in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further, with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is the chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic language, it is also said, Raso Vaisaha Rasam He Evayam Labdhava Nandi Bhavati. When one understands the personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure, Krishna, he actually becomes transcendently blissful. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7.1. The Supreme Lord is full in six opulences, and when a devotee approaches him, there is an exchange of these six opulences. The servant of the king enjoys on an almost equal level with the king, and so eternal happiness, imperishable happiness, and eternal life accompany devotional service. Therefore, realization of Brahman or eternity or imperishability is included in devotional service. This is already possessed by a person who is engaged in devotional service. The living entity, although Brahman by nature, has the desire to lord it over the material world, and due to this, he falls down. In his constitutional position, a living entity is above the three modes of material nature, but association with material nature entangles him in the different modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Due to the association of these three modes, his desire to dominate the material world is there. By engagement in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, he is immediately situated in the transcendental position, and his unlawful desire to control material nature is removed. Therefore, the process of devotional service, beginning with hearing, chanting, remembering, the prescribed nine methods for realizing devotional service, should be practiced in the association of devotees. Gradually, by such association, by the influence of the spiritual master, one's material desire to dominate is removed and one becomes firmly situated in the Lord's transcendental loving service. This method is prescribed from the 22nd to the last verse of this chapter. Devotional service to the Lord is very simple. One should always engage in the service of the Lord, should eat the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the deity, smell the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, see the places where the Lord had his transcendental pastimes, read of the different activities of the Lord, his reciprocation of love with his devotees, chant always the transcendental vibration Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and observe the fasting days commemorating the appearances and disappearances of the Lord and his devotees. By following such a process, one becomes completely detached from all material activities. One who can thus situate himself in the Brahma Jyotir or the different varieties of the Brahman conception is equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in quality.
Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 14th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the three modes of material nature. Okay, so what do we understand in this verse?
We understood that, like, once when we are engaged in devotional service, at once we achieve Brahman, that is transcendental. We go beyond the three modes of material nature. And Lord is saying that He is the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which
Yeah,
is eternal, imperishable, and immortal.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So, Srimad Bhagavatam describes that those who are transcendentalists who are searching after the absolute truth, understand the absolute truth as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So the first realization of God, you know, is the Brahman realization. Yeah, that the God is spirit,
Mm.
Brahman. And then as one further engages in spiritual study, advances in spiritual life, one will understand that he's Paramatma, God is Paramatma. and that he himself, that there is a difference between Atma and Paramatma. In the Brahman conception, one may not understand that there is a difference. One may think that I am that supreme Brahman. But of course, those who are Brahman realized actually will understand that I am Brahman and God is the supreme Brahman, Para-Brahman. And then as one goes further in spiritual life, one will understand God as Paramatma, himself as Atma. And then one goes further and one realizes that God is a person. He's a supreme person. And that the Brahman is the light which is coming from his body, the effulgence, the energy which is coming from his body. And Paramatma is his expansion, by which he has entered every atom of the universe, by which he is also accompanying every living entity in our heart. That is a complete understanding of the absolute truth. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, Brahman and Krishna, because many people may not know where is the Brahman coming from. Krishna is saying Brahman is coming from me. Or people may think that Brahman is ultimate God, but if we go further research, we will understand. No, God is a person. Yeah. Like when Prabhupada would give the example that when we see the hill from very far away, it looks like some cloud. As we go closer, we'll see, oh, there's some shape, something green. But when we actually come very near to the hill and enter the hill, we can see there's trees, there's flowers, there's fruits, waterfalls, animals, birds, the variety. So similarly, when we see God, study God from very far away, we'll understand him as Brahman. We come closer to him, Paramatma, and then when we can actually understand, the full realization is understanding he is a person. So one may be Brahman realized, but then from there one has to go further. One has to engage in devotional service to come to understand that God is a person, because otherwise one will fall down from that position. So one may understand that I am a soul, spirit soul. But if one does not know how to act as the spirit soul, again he will act as the body. Yeah, so that is the danger. Here Prabhupada is explaining. Somewhere in the purport he says that one who cannot, they run the risk of falling down. So what is that risk? Because, okay, one may come to understand, not only theoretically, but actually realize that, okay, I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul. But unless one does not know what does the soul do, how does the soul act, then one will again act as the body. One will come back to the material platform. So what does the soul do? What is the activity of the soul? That is devotional service. So we can see that, no matter what process we follow, we have to come to the point of taking up bhakti to have complete understanding of the absolute truth, to have complete understanding of God. We need to engage in bhakti to understand God. And when one is engaged in bhakti all the time, he is liberated. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
So, yeah,
Can you just, I think this chapter ended, right?
yeah,
Can you just briefly, like, uh, overview the chapter 14? Or, yeah, if possible. Then we move to chapter 15, if it
yeah.
is okay. Thank you so much.
So Krishna is speaking about the modes of nature in this chapter. He's speaking of, Okay, let's do the verses only. Krishna is speaking of uh, goodness, passion, ignorance, and how they bind us. Goodness binds us to knowledge and happiness. Passion and binds us to activity, and ignorance binds us to madness, illusion.
Hmm.
Right? And
Yes.
Krishna says that those who die in the mode of goodness go to the planet of the sages. Those who die in the mode of passion, they are born again on the earthly planets, and those who die in the mode of ignorance, they go down to animal
Hmm.
life. Krishna also says that he is the seed-giving father of all the living entities. He says that he puts all the living entities in this material world. Krishna is also saying that he is the source of the Brahman, that the Brahman is coming from him. Because one may wonder, where is the Brahman coming from? Just as we see the sunshine, where is the sunshine coming from? The
Hmm.
sunshine is coming from the sun planet. So similarly, the Brahman, the light, is coming from the body of Krishna. Okay, so there's three modes of nature. Krishna is giving us so much information of the three modes because he wants us to rise above the modes.
Oh, okay.
He wants us to rise, that is coming to the platform, that being liberated. The modes are binding us, but we are
Hmm.
actually the spirit soul. The modes can actually not bind the soul. Modes is binding the body.
Okay.
And because we are thinking we are the body, we are bound by the modes. So Krishna is saying, rise above the modes. How to rise above the modes? Engage in devotional service, bhakti. By engaging in bhakti, one comes to the liberated platform. One gets liberated because one understands I'm not the body, I am spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. So let me engage in service of Krishna. And that is the activity of the soul. So then one is acting as the soul, not as the body. So he's liberated. So the pure devotee, he's always in that consciousness, acting for the pleasure of Krishna. So even though he is inside the material body, he is liberated. Is that okay?
Yes, well,
Okay. Comments, questions?
not much.
Okay. Sheena, anything?
No.
Okay, then let's stop here for today. We finish the 14th chapter. You can read the 15th. We can begin with the 15th chapter Monday. It's
Okay.
Monday. Okay, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila
Sure.
Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare
Sure.
Krishna.